Hello everyone and welcome to the Train Sim World May 2025 roadmap. Welcome in, let us know how our audios are sounding, but of course, usual host here this month. We're here to talk about all the fun things happening with Train Sim World from us, from our partners, and all the developments and stuff happening under the hood. Now, I'm Alex, Senior Community Manager here at Dovetail, and I'm joined by the wonderful, the fantastic, the executive producer of Trains, Mr. Matt Pedalston. Hello, Matt.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's really great to be back another month talking to the community, helping answer questions, kind of being involved with a lot of things at the moment, and it's really exciting to just consistently share the news from partners, from all things happening over the place. Welcome everyone. Again, let us know if our mics are sounding okay. Sound is okay, good. We've got a lot to talk about this month, which I'm really excited for. Someone say a little bit quiet. I'll touch my volume just a little bit. Hopefully it'll be a bit better for you there. But it's been a really exciting last few months for Train Sim World, and again, we've got another really fun month coming up. Just before we dive into everything, I just want to do a quick shout out in case anyone's new to the stream about how this is going to work. So we're going to be live for the next 60-75 minutes or so, and we're going to talk about all of the things that happened last month, lots of the stuff happening this month. We're going to go in depth on all of the new add-ons and all of the new updates and features coming to Train Sim World 5. I've obviously got Matt here to kind of go a bit more technical on the developer side, and then we're going to answer your questions live too. So I think with that said, let's dive into it. Are we ready, Matt?
Oh yes, let's go.
Brilliant. So let's talk very briefly about what happened last month through April and how we've got here today. We obviously had the Easter event in game. We had a bit of Easter fun. Obviously, if you enjoyed an Easter break as well, if you celebrate, that's a really fantastic time too. We've had some various sales for PlayStation and Xbox. And speaking of sales, something that just ended a few days ago that I think is a really wonderful thing to talk about is the Remix Route Humble Bundle that has just ended now. So if you had a chance to pick this up, then wonderful. But it had Train Sim World 5 in it. It had a bunch of other add-ons that you could add to your bundle. If you've not checked out Humble Bundle before, essentially it's kind of a developer and charity initiative to raise money and get some great discounts and stuff. But I want to shout out to everyone involved on this from the Humble side, from our team as well, because this has raised over £15,000 for Calm, the Calm charity, and this is the campaign against living miserably. And what that £15,000 actually means is that is, I believe it's 1,200 life-saving calls for people that really need help, that really need support at a really difficult time in their lives, and that's the difference you can make. So again, from Dovetail's side, it's fantastic to be involved like this, but really that change is coming from all of you getting involved. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone who helped set that up, and thank you for all of you who decided to grab those bundles and those discounts. So it's absolutely fantastic news. And on that note, and speaking of fantastic things, let's go to the roadmap graphic for the month. So here we are. This is May 2025. It's too many 20s there. And this is the current update of things that we're talking about, add-ons that you've got approaching soon, and some bits further down the track that we still yet to put a release date onto. Obviously on this there's been some changes and there's been some shifting around from the last month. Some things are being pulled into the 0 to 3 months as they start approaching that time where we're going to start talking a lot more about them. We're going to go in more depth. We're going to tell you some timetable details and such, and some other bits that we're excited to keep you in the loop about. Obviously you can see in the 0 to 3 months section we've got Frankfurt S-bahn, and don't worry, by the way, we're going to be talking a lot about all these content in much more detail in just a few moments here. But we've got Frankfurt S-bahn, which is the next upcoming release for TSW. We've got the BR194 and E94 Railtour pack from the TSG team. And also we've got Just Trains bringing the Class 86 and the MkF2 Coaches, as well as the Transport for Wales Class 142 Pacer that they announced last month too. And something that I think a lot of people have been happy to see back is the Manchester Airport Commuter route from Alan Thompson's simulation. So this actually came off our roadmap for a bit, but it's back, and it's in the 0 to 3 months section, which means you should expect it very soon. As well as this, we've got Cargo Line Vol.4. So if you've just seen, actually, we've re-released Cargo Line Vol.3. These packs are great. I mean, they're wonderful packs that help bolster gameplay. They help bring you some new rolling stock from the Skyhook team. Really fantastic. And we're talking about Skyhook's next one, which is focusing on some military stock you can get your hands on. We've got some great photos to show for that. And then we've got the a UK gameplay pack that's new. I want to clarify now quickly before we dive into it. But we talked about Dovetail Games as Liam from Grumpy Dog. It's a new partner that we announced this month. This isn't Liam's pack because obviously we would have put the third-party tag at the bottom of that. So this isn't that. We don't have Liam's HST pack that he talked about in his interview. We haven't added that to this graphic, which we should do, and we'll get that updated the next time we do that graphic. But I just wanted to clarify that this is a different pack, and you'll hear more about this soon. So some exciting things coming up, and of course we're always looking to address performance optimizations in our monthly and weekly patches as well. And some exciting stuff in the future. Some bits that we touched on, the DB420 we'll touch on today. The Santa Fe gameplay pack we'll touch more on today. And of course, we've got some other bits that we won't mention today, but of course, coming from All Aboard Studios with an unannounced UK route and Union Workshops to Darmy Line, still in development, still progressing very well. We've just got no more updates this month to show you, but maybe in the next coming months we'll have more. So that's the general picture of where we're at in May, and now let's dive into some more specifics. And just before we do, if you are on Steam, well, guess what kicked off just about an hour ago? That's right, it's a bunch of sales. So I'm not going to spend too long on this, but if you are a player on Steam, you can get up to 80% off a various range of Train Sim World add-ons, including the new Koln-Aachen, which you can see on screen now at 80% off. So again, if you're on Steam, this just had a huge update, taking its the total services included on Conf from about 500 to over 4,000, 600 of which are playable. But there's also loads of other great discounts. I mean, you can get Train Sim World 5 at 75% off. That's a fantastic offer. As well as other core routes, you can get Midland Main Line, you can get some of the Cargo Line packs. And actually, just before my graphic moves on, I'm going to pause it right here because we have a whole lineup of content from your favorite Train Sim World creators. We've got the British Ace Train Sim Driver, we've got Ramagani, Richie Rail, Jimmy Darley, and we've also got some new people joining us for content, Tigerways and Casual Rail. All of these great ambassadors, wonderful creators are joining us for the next week and sharing content that they've made for these sales, and some of the add-ons they'll be playing will be on discounts. And you can watch them right here on the Train Sim World channel every night. So I hope that's really exciting because for the most part, these creators, they really bring a lot of energy to these videos. They really promote the route, and we love featuring them on our channel. So if you're excited, well, then I am too. And you'll be able to catch them, just like I said, on this channel, starting from tomorrow. So every day since. So with that being said, let's jump into the first routes we want to talk about. And it's the next upcoming add-on to Train Sim World. It's the Frankfurt S-bahn. Let me just resize that image because it was just clipping there. So we've got a whole bunch of new images that we shared today. And if you haven't heard of Frankfurt S-bahn, this is the S1, S8 and S9 lines are all included. And it's a new German route coming that covers about 80 kilometers of track. There are 26 stations between Frankfurt Main HBF, including the underground platforms to Wiesbaden. And something we talked about in today's roadmap update is that there will be, as part of the full timetable, there will be 1,000+ playable services. Now, something we didn't mention in the article, but we'll go into some more detail in the next, in the coming soon article, which you can expect maybe in the next week or two, very soon. There is going to be a difference between PC and console in terms of what you get in your timetable. We'll go into the details of that once we can confirm them. But for the full timetable, which you can expect for PC, there will be 1,000+ playable services, which is just an enormous number, and you'll get a huge range of gameplay. And we've talked about some of the different types of gameplay that you'll get on Frankfurt S-bahn, including IC3 services to Frankfurt, IC1 services to Frankfurt and Mainz, ICT services to Frankfurt via Wiesbaden via the airport, IC services, S-bahn services from 2018 that uses the station at night. And these are just some of the ones from the new airport station. You'll get a whole bunch of gameplay as well on the DBBR430, which is the new loco included in the route, bringing the bulk of the traffic on the S1, S8 and S9 lines. The updated DBBR423, which has had physics upgrades and new updates and a new interior to represent the S-bahn Rhine-Main variant. As well as you also get the DBBR143 and Dosto combination. So that will run services, RB services out of Wiesbaden. So an absolute enormous range of gameplay, and I hope, and I know a lot of you are excited. I've been following some of the conversation in the Discord and on Reddit, and you've been wanting more information for Frankfurt. So we gave you as much as we can. We gave you some new screenshots in terms of the roadmap, and don't worry, more information is coming. We'll go into a full timetable deep dive coming very, very soon. So we hope you're excited. Matt, what are your thoughts on Frankfurt S-bahn?
I mean, I'm probably going to sound the same as the last roadmap. It's a lot of fun. It's exactly my kind of route, with lots of commuter start-stopping stuff on it. But it actually does have a nice mix on the full timetable, adding in the intercity and intercity express services as well. So there's some good mixes there. But yeah, it's a tremendous route actually, with some really really great variety.
And I really hope that a lot of you are excited. But like I said, there'll be more information we talk about that. The timetable differences that PC and console players can expect. And just a reminder, this is a Gen 9 only route. So what that means is you'll get it on PC, which will be Steam and Epic Games, and then you'll get it on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X. So if you are on those platforms, then those will be the ones available for Frankfurt S-bahn. But that's all we're going to share on S-bahn for now. Again, there is an article coming very soon that will dive into more of the timetable notes as well. But for now, we're going to move on to Cargo Line Vol.4. So Skyhook Games has shared us a new range of images for this. So I'll roll these on in the background. And like I said, we just had the release of Cargo Line Volume 3. We saw some really positive feedback already for that. And again, these packs are just great. That extra level of rolling stock, the gameplay you get for some of your favorite routes that you can bolster on. In this pack, you're going to get, and what you're seeing here is the new KWA Warwell wagon. It comes in a heavily weathered military green. You have a main deck and you have a lower central portion mounted on 2 wheeled bogies. You get conventional draw gear and buffers located at each end as well. Now in the pack, you'll get that wagon in 3 conditions. Unloaded and empty will be one of them. Another will be loaded with a generic tracked armed personnel carrier, which is an APC. And a third variant will be loaded with a 3-axle mine-resistant ambush protected vehicle, which is an MRAP in terms of the acronyms there. With the pack, you'll also get the Class 66 in DB red and grey livery. I know everyone loves a good Class 66 thrown in. And in terms of the actual gameplay, you'll get new scenarios, you'll get new services, you'll get new timetables for the Great Western Express route, as well as West Coast Mainline Preston to Carlisle. We'll talk a little bit more about the Great Western Express soon as well. But I know obviously there's a lot of love for the Preston Carlisle route too. So this should be a really fantastic pack. And I just think the military trucks just add such a new, interesting level of dynamic that I personally don't see a lot when I'm playing Train Sim World. I don't know about you, Matt, but I just think it's a very different feel.
I mean, the military packs that have been done in the past, not for this, but for this is the first military pack for that I can recall for TSW. But I think Victory Works did a military pack for Train Sim Classic, and they just add a completely different tone and feel to the usual spread of hoppers, containers, black cars, and so forth. So yeah, no, I'm a big fan of this. And as I've always said, the cargo line packs add a really nice amount of extra variety. Whether you want to play the freight or just have it going in the other direction while you're whizzing up and down a line on your favourite train, it just adds that variety, which I really like.
Fantastic. So expect more coming soon. So we're going to be working obviously with Skyhook Games, who are developing the next cargo line pack. And we'll share more details when they've got them, but you could probably expect more in the coming roadmaps and as we get closer to the release of that pack. But it's really exciting, and again, we'll let you know when we have more details. In terms of packs and talking about third parties, let's move it to TSG, who have been developing the BR194 and E94 pack, the Railtour pack, right here. And we've got some new images that should hopefully cycle through. And this is a very exciting pack that includes quite a lot of gameplay as well. You've got 2 new locos, the BR194 and the E94088. But you've also got a new passenger coach, you've got a new freight wagon, you've got a new 1984 timetable and scenarios for Left Rhine or Linker Rheinstrecke, as well as new scenarios for the recently released Felschische Ludwigsbahn. So that's the Mannheim to Kaiserslautern route. So you've got loads there. You've got lots of new wagons, new content, as well as that you also get the ES50 freight wagon and the Fons and DBB livery 2. and you get the scenarios as well. Now, something we scrolled past in terms of the images on screen that we wanted to highlight in this roadmap was you should have seen some very pink looking images. Now, there's a reason they are pink. I'll see if I can find them. I'll have to go back a couple images. And it's something that Lucas from TSG wanted me to highlight in this roadmap. And this is a visual representation of the differences between the UBB 1020 and then the BR194 that's included in the pack. So the differences are what are highlighted in pink. So if I go to a side shot here, you can see that a lot of modeling changes have been made. And it really emphasizes what the differences are between the 1020, because there are some similarities, of course, but obviously what the TSG team have done is really focus on some of those differences and as well as modifications. And we shared a list last time, but some of this includes air system changes, train brake valves. There's a more utilitarian cab. There's different pantographs and control systems. There's different lamp systems. So they've done a lot of work here, and they wanted to make sure that is highlighted. So what better way than just slapping a good pink over it? And I think Matt would very much approve of this. So
well, I'm a big fan of this pink and grey livery. I'm going to go and talk to Lucas about why it's not shipping with this livery.
Maybe it could be a nice thing for Creators Club to show. But I'll let some of the rest of the images roll by. Now, this is another add-on that will be Gen 9 only. So again, that's PC, Steam and Epic Games, as well as PS5, Xbox Series S and X. And we haven't shared any more details about the release date just yet, but you can expect more news coming soon. I know Lucas again is very passionate about wanting to share more with the community, and we'll do our best to share as much as we can in some of the coming soon articles. But for now, you have to enjoy some of the screenshots rolling past before we have more. But we're not done with TSG just yet, because actually I'll move swiftly onwards to the DB-BR420. And this is a logo from the TSG team, and this will go on to help support gameplay on the Frankfurt S-bahn route. So we've got some new images here that actually show some of the cab details, and I'll try and pause on some of these. I think I'll go back to this one. So they actually show some of the details you can get inside the cab, which we haven't seen yet. And there's a couple of notes on today's roadmap for this month. There were some things that Mike from the TSG team wanted to highlight, which is some quite interesting things. And again, we can see it from this angle. But the driver's seat actually blocks the door, and they've got that working. So if the seat is in its normal position, you can't actually open that right door that you can see on this image. And they've been able to visually recreate this and recreate this in the game as well, which is quite funny. And on our next image, you've also got working folding seats for AI passengers, as well as players. So if you take a seat, then the seat will unfold, and obviously, like you would in real life, you'd pull it down, you'd give it a sit. And otherwise, when you stand up, usually the chair tries to kind of grab you back, but it would fold and snap back up again. So it's a nice extra bit of detail that you'll be able to see while you're playing, and you'll be able to see from the AI passengers too. So the DB420, I'll roll the images on. That is coming from the TSG team. Again, another one that we haven't shared the release date of just yet. But there are a lot of differences. It's a 3-car EMU. There's no walk-through gangways. They're all represented, and it's a very classic driving style as it rides along the S-bahn Rhine-Main from the early 1970s. So, Matt, I don't know if you've got any thoughts about the 420?
Good to see it progressing. Someone said earlier on the chat, I'm curious to know why it was taking so long, and it's the usual thing. One person can only do one thing at a time. And Mike has been doing. He'd been helping us on the Frankfurt S-bahn route, so and other stuff. So, but no, I'm always happy. Well, this is a train I've been looking forward to for a long time. So, always happy to see it progressing.
And we'll go back to camera just for a moment. But I appreciate, Matt, you keeping it on a chat as I'm filtering through some of the images here. And speaking of something that kind of people have been asking for an update for just a while, I'll move over to our next route, which is the Manchester Airport Commuter from Alan Thompson Simulation. And we're really glad to show some more progress and some more screenshots from this, especially because for a while for a few months, I think the last update we had before today was back in November. And we actually went a few months where it was just kind of sat on a graphic, there wasn't anything we were able to provide players with. And we took it off the graphic because we weren't sure in terms of how to set correct expectations, where to place it. And we brought it back just a month after. So pretty typical in terms of timing. But in terms of everyone watching, it's great to pull this back, and it's now moved into the kind of 0 to 3 months. So this is something that is coming along much quicker. It's had a lot of development. I'll tell you what, I'll share the original article we had back in November as well in the chat. Because there are some photos on that we I haven't got on my rotating list at the moment. So there's a link in the chat on YouTube that you can follow and see some of our original shots. There's a wonderful shot with the airplane coming in. But those of you that haven't heard about the Manchester Airport Commuter, of course, you'll be able to explore Manchester Piccadilly. You'll be able to visit different depots along the routes. There'll be 2 branches of busy commuter traffic that you'll be able to get stuck into. And Matt, can you remind me, sorry, which, we're looking at the 323 here, is that correct?
The one, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yes, obviously you have the 323 included in the route as well. Now, as a note, this will be another Gen 9 only route. But the Alan Thompson team did want to share these new set of images and really just talk about some of the progress they've been making, because they're very passionate about the route. They're very excited to share more. And I think their team is just doing a fantastic job. And of getting it all kind of wrapped up and ready to have in your hands as soon as possible. Matt, what are your thoughts on Manchester Airport Commuter?
It looks like a fun route. I've not actually had a chance to have a play myself yet, but I've seen a lot of images and so forth. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to having a play. 323 is quite fun to drive. Yeah, this is an interesting route. Plus, it's always really good and gratifying to see a third party completing the first project, so that they can move on to whatever comes next. So it's a really good milestone. I'm really excited to see the team finish this project.
And if you haven't heard about it again, just some other repeated notes that we shared back in the past. This will be 27 miles of track. So you'll be going from Manchester Piccadilly to Alderley Edge. And there'll be 2 key spines, as we talked about the 2 branches. You'll get the main line via Stockport, and you'll get the Style line via Manchester Airport, which converges at Wilmslow. And you'll also get busy commuter traffic into the heart of Manchester, formed from the recent B network that you've got going on in Manchester as well. So it's really exciting, and we'll be able to provide a lot more news in the coming roadmap articles, and I'm sure there'll be its own coming soon article very shortly as well. But hopefully now that it's in kind of more of the 0 to 3 months category, you won't have to wait long, and more news will be coming a lot more quicker from the Alan Thompson team. So we can't wait to share it. And on that note, let's move over to Just Trains. So we've got 2 locos, and I'm going to start with the Class 86-2 and the MkF2 Coaches from the Just Trains team. And for this month, they had a shorter update. They did want to confirm that the progress is going well. And it's a good point to remind everyone that generally from one month to the next, progress from different third parties for different projects is going to be wildly different. Different teams are made up of various amounts of people. They've got different timelines on the different projects, and in terms of the actual content they're developing themselves, it can be very different from one add-on to the next. But for the Class 86, there's been they've been focusing on the much requested MK1, the buffet car. Which they're really pleased. They're saying it's looking grand inside and out. We don't have any images of that to show today. What are cycling before some of the things that will be included in the pack, which you're seeing the MK2F coaches in the various different variants, as well as some of the shots from the Class 86 as well in the cab. But it's looking grand inside for the buffet car. And what we have got is we've got a full announced article coming next week too. So you really won't have to wait long, just next week, before you get a lot more in-depth screenshots and some more in-depth information for the Class 86, because I know a lot of people were very excited about this, and Just Trains have got many fans among the community for the work they work on. So I'll leave it there on the Class 86. You can follow up on some of our previous roadmaps if you do want to follow along on the story. But moving over to the Class 142, the Transport for Wales Pacer, we actually have a couple new images we can share today which show the branding that they've got on the side of this logo here. So this is another new logo pack coming from Just Trains. It's for the Transport for Wales Class 142, and this will be for the Cardiff City Network route. And as you can see here, we're going through some of the images. You'll be able to see that branding And the Just Trains team wanted to check in and just say that development continues well. The version you're looking at here of the Loco, it has those 2 bi-leaf folding doors, the LED headlights, the updated door opening and closing buttons, as well as sounding equipment has been fitted, the emergency access door handles, and in some of the GSMR and roof radio network systems are all focused on these images and featured within the Loco modeling itself. So a general thing with Just Trains, they have a really fantastic blog. If you're very passionate about some of the content they're creating, you can follow along there. What they share in a blog is kind of what we mirror in our roadmaps, but they'll be able to talk about it in their own depth, in their own voice as well. So it's always good to hear more things from more people and kind of follow along with your favorite developers too. So that's it for Just Trains. I don't know, Matt, if you had any thoughts on those 2 locos.
I mean, the Just Trains are a high quality developer. I always look forward to anything they're working on. The 86 is obviously on my top list because I used to live on the Great Eastern Main Line, so that was pretty much dominated by the 86 for a long time. And the Pacer, well, what can I say? It's a Pacer. And I'm having a lot of fun on the Cardiff route, and for Cardiff route plus Pacer equals fun. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting the Pacer shuttling backwards and forwards.
And it's Amaze Taste. It's Mark 1. It's Mark 1. It's not MK1. I'm sorry, Matt. I apologize. I've actually only just heard that though. So you say you keep telling me, but that's the first bit of feedback I've seen. So the Mark 1. So but yes, the buffet car will be coming for the Class 86 pack. So but Just Trains are fantastic. We love hearing more news and working with them and sharing some of the dev blogs that they put together. And I can't wait to share more for the locos because again, I know from being in the community spaces and chatting with you all, these are some really, really requested logos, and I know there's a lot of hype for them. So now let's go over to, we've got one more add-on to really talk more in depth, and then we've got another introduction that we'll go through. Now this is one I know we've talked about a few times, but it really is a special route coming from the High Iron Simulation team. And this is the Santa Fe gameplay pack for the Cajon Pass route, I should say. So it's a very special add-on. And you're going to get that Santa Fe railroading of the 1990s. For those of you that are really interested in the US content side of things, you're going to get the EMD SD40-2 in the blue and yellow freight colors, which we're seeing here, as well as the Santa Fe C40-8W in the war bonnet livery, which we'll see in some of the upcoming screenshots. And I know we've talked about this one a few times in the last few roadmaps, but what we've got today is a massive library of images. I can't stress enough that the Higher Simulation team, they emailed in and said, we've got to get these screenshots in front of the community. We've got to find a way. And they dropped me an airbox of about 40 images. So I think what you're seeing cycling is that whole library. But if you go to the roadmap article itself for this month, you'll be able to find an entire selection of images that you can kind of click through and you can expand on, and they're really great shots. I mean, it's wonderful being able to use the new photo mode and being able to see some of the screenshots from the developers themselves. But we've talked about this pack a lot. It is coming soon. We don't have a release date yet. We haven't confirmed any pricing details yet, so that will come. That will come when we get a little bit closer to release. I believe this currently still sits in the to be confirmed side of the roadmap, which doesn't necessarily mean anything about when it will release, but we just haven't really got that confirmation from our side yet in terms of what we'll share to the community on the release. So its development is coming along very well, and this huge library of images, I think, just proves from the High Iron Simulation team that they're ready to get this out to you all, because they're ready to show you as many images as it takes. So, but yes, you'll be able to get timetable services and player drivable services. And they're based on the actual the AT and SF and Union Pacific freight schedules from the early 1990s too. So it's a really fantastic pack. If you love some of these images, like I say, there is, I think we've cycled through about 22 of 40 so far, and it's on a bit of a random timer. There's a whole bunch of them on the roadmap, so go check them out. But I'm really excited because for me, this has been a personal favorite to show, and I just love seeing this more and more of these plans throughout the year get shared and more images be shared to the community. So that leaves us with just one more thing. Now, I don't have any images for this, but it is always wonderful to be able to announce new third-party development teams. Does anyone know a Dovetail Games DTG Liam here? Oh, we may have worked on just a small project known as the West Somerset Railway Remaster. Ooh, just that small thing. And he's currently working on the Great Western Express remaster. Just a small thing that I know not many of you are that too fussed about. Well, obviously, people know GTD Liam. If you've been in the community, you must know him. He's very heavily involved. And actually, today we are going to start referring to Liam as the founder of Grump Dog Games. And they are a new third-party development team joining the Train Sim World roster, joining the partner program, which is absolutely fantastic. And there's a full interview we've got on the roadmap where Liam talks a bit about his past, where he's come from, where you may know him from, some of the development he's working on. But what he was able to announce is that the first project he'll be working on is a Class 43 HST farewell pack, which will be coming for the upcoming GWE remaster, which is absolutely fantastic. It'll focus on the final days of the HSTs running along the Great Western Main Line. It will have a few special liveries for the Class 43, along with their respective nameplates. And here we go. It's the return of the GWR licensing. Now, licensing is tricky. We've talked about this in the past, and sometimes we've had to discuss some really difficult conversations about when we may have to take away licenses from Train Sim World. But today, it's not that story. It's the opposite of that story. We're bringing back the GWR license, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I must shout out the licensing team here at Dovetail. We've got some really fantastic people that work with our partners that allow this kind of conversation to happen and to grow. And it's really fantastic to be able to include that in this roadmap. And again, obviously, it will support what Liam's working on as he works on the GWE remaster. So expect to see more of that in the future, and we'll share it. But it's a really great win for the teams. It's a really great win for the pack. And like I said, the roadmap for this month has a full in-depth interview with Liam. And we're going to be sharing more on the GWE remaster as we go. Some of the Q&As we put for the roadmap on the forums. We asked, what are your questions for tonight's stream that we can answer? Quite a few of them mentioned the GWE remaster and when's it coming out. We don't have those details yet. I know it's very eagerly anticipated, but it's coming along. The development is going really well. We've got some, we do have some images. Let me get the images up. Matt, stall for time. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's good to have Great Western back in the fold. They were always a really good partner to work with, and there's just a lot of it has just been time and on both sides of the equation there. But no, the stars have aligned, and yeah, good to see GWR back. So now we're figuring out what how we can work with them and what that means. Oh, here we go, pretty screenshots.
Yes, they might be cycling a little bit fast just for a second.
They're a little bit fast.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, we're good. They should cycle a lot slower so you can look at them in more depth.
Yeah, I think these are the Heathrow Express stand-ins or Heathrow Connect stand-ins.
I appreciate the mods tonight as well. Mind the caps, folks. We love the enthusiasm. Yeah, it's really great to have the GWR license back. And again, it's a true testament to the team. But yeah, so again, thank you to Liam. He was able to provide some of these images that we shared today. There will be more that we can share. We will be able to talk about this. Amaze Taze, why did the GWR leave in the first place? I don't know if there's any specifics we can share on that, Matt.
It was just the license expired, as licenses normally do, and they were busy. This happens. So there wasn't a particular reason. It was literally just that it expired, and the priorities weren't there for them to be able to extend it at the time. So it's nothing particular.
But a great question nonetheless. With that in mind, that kind of comes to the end of talking about some of the content coming up that we covered in the roadmap. Obviously, I think a usual thing that I'll just remind everyone of is everything we talked about in this month's roadmap is not necessarily the full picture. We know there are other projects continuing on in the background. We mentioned some of them like Tadami Line, and we know All Aboard Studios. They're working on their UK route and building up to towards that as well. Progress continues. It always continues. We tend to how the roadmap works is we tend to reach out to our partners and ask if they want to be involved in the roadmap, ask if they want to share content for their upcoming projects, upcoming releases. And then obviously we manage that with our teams to build what will be involved in every roadmap as well. So just because something isn't there doesn't necessarily mean progress has stopped. It doesn't mean it's over. It just means that it's continuing. And if there's no news, then assume no news is fine news. No news is progress. But when we've got something substantial to share is when we'll try and fold it together for an update for you also. Now I want to touch on some of the patches. So I'll just cover some of the patches we've had back in April till now, in case you haven't been playing for the last few weeks and you want to know what has changed with the game. So we've had a couple patches on April 10th. We did a big set of improvements for Zwolle Groningen. This was when we added the Vectron ATB update. So I know back in April and back in March, the month before, there were a lot of questions on when this is going to come out. So that has now been released. As well as SNG Sprinter adjustments and fixes for Cardiff City Network, for the Thomas and Friends visit the WSR route, and many more. So that was back on April 10th. And then about a couple of weeks ago, on April 28th, we had a kind of moderate-sized patch. This had some various fixes for community-raised issues for Zwolle, Mannheim. It had Frankfurt, Fulda, Thomas and Friends, West Coast Main Line South, the East Coast Main Line Diesel Railtour pack. And on top of this, this is when the free updated Koln-Aachen timetable came for players on Steam. So again, if you haven't been playing in the last couple of weeks, or you're tuning in for the first time in a little while, that's where we've been the last month. In terms of where we're going next, we are working on the next patch. Now, when I say working on the next patch, I haven't dived through the notes myself. There will be a range of fixes for TSW add-ons. We generally try and fold some of the top reported community issues into our patches, as well as trying to fold in the next set of big improvements we can get. And in this patch is when we're going to try and get in some of the Midland Mainline improvements that Skyhook Games have been working on. So again, these are just changes for Midland Mainline that should be folded into the next patch. We'll confirm the full patch list when we're a bit closer, but just as a teaser, we've got stuff like the TSW5 track shadow improvements coming to Midland Mainline. You've got TSW5 guard mode for the 158s. You've got dynamic gangways for the 158s. You've got interior lighting improvements for the 158s. You've got a lot of scenery improvements for the Ratcliffe power station, like steam emission is coming back. Airport obstruction lights are coming back. We've added new calm posters across the route in support of the calm charity from real life. You've got the new Train Sim Mod 5 water materials coming across the route. There's extra support for the cargo line packs included too. And then there's some class 43 HST improvements as well. Improvements when wet with using some of the coaches and various fixes. Lots of improvements. The Skyhook team were very kind to provide those notes. So I've just read some of the highlights there, but there are much more as well. So this next patch should be coming. Roughly speaking, you can expect it in the next couple of weeks, but we'll look to confirm that. I think we're still lining up when this patch will land. But it's, we're talking weeks, not months. So you can expect our usual cadence of updates. At the moment, we've been doing pretty well with 2 or 3 every month. We know we're kind of entering a second week of May where we'll have our next update. So appreciate all the community flags. Keep us aware of any issues that you've been having with the game on the forums. It's a really good spot to highlight them because our team actively monitor the forums. Let us know in community spaces too, like Discord, like Reddit. We're also, we're active across social spaces, Facebook groups as well. But the best places to go to is the troubleshooting area of our Dovetail Live forums for Train Sim World, and just via submitting support tickets to and bug reports directly to our team. So thank you for the reports. This is where we're taking those and folding them into updates. And one thing actually, because I touched on the Koln-Aachen timetable update. So I wanted to talk a little bit in this roadmap, and I've shared a few paragraphs in the article itself. But I wanted to talk a little bit about why is it just on Steam? And kind of what we're going to next. So since it has been out on Steam, it's been really great to see a lot of positive feedback already. New volume of services has been going very well, makes the timetable feel busier, so that's all really good. I mean, this is what the free update should have done. It's loads of great new stuff. It's free. It's only good news. But it's a shame when people on Steam get it and maybe not everyone else gets it. So in terms of where we're looking at for the other platforms, we've talked about this in terms of coming for Gen 9. So we're still looking at Epic, PlayStation, and Xbox. Now, the reason we weren't able to share this all as one combined package was simply just a matter of testing. We happen to have the Steam branch for the update tested, which means that our QA teams have gone through it. They've been able to confirm that it runs well, it doesn't crash, there's no issues with how it's performing, which are all really important things for us. When we share you something, we want to make sure it works. You open a box, you want to make sure there's nothing wrong with it. So it's gone through all the testing on the Steam platforms, which is great, but we didn't have it in a spot where we could test. We hadn't done testing on the other platforms. So again, Epic, PlayStation, Xbox. So we were kind of in a situation where we either hold back Steam players from getting the route, while it has been completed and tested, while we wait for the consoles, or we share it on Steam and we wait while we do the console testing and make sure it's confirmed on all those platforms. We didn't feel the need was great enough for us to hold back the update. So I appreciate it's a little frustrating if you're playing on PlayStation, if you're playing on Xbox or Epic Games, because you're seeing all the great stuff being shared, you're seeing people on Steam getting it, you want to get it too. Totally understand. It was more of a case that we didn't feel the need to hold it back from the players whilst we had it completed. But we are working on getting it done for the other platforms. We don't have any news to confirm today, but just know the teams are looking at that. So just wanted to explain that a little bit, because in an ideal world, I think everything goes all at once. Everyone's happy all at the same time, thumbs up. But in this case, you know, sometimes we've got to take the situation into consideration a bit too. Matt, that'll sound good from a development side too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the particular case of the Koln-Aachen timetable, the beta team had provided feedback that the changes, all of the additional trains and so forth, and it is a much bigger timetable, mean that it becomes unreliable, unstable, and blurry textures. I didn't feel like a good thing to push out at all. So it's kind of like, right, we need to understand this a bit more. And you know, in some cases, it's just not going to be possible. There is only a finite amount of memory. This is, you know, why we're starting to see some separation, going in there, in terms of, you know, I don't want to hold the PC experience back any more than I want to hold the Gen 9 experience back from the Gen 8 consoles and so forth. So let each console deliver to the best it can. But a really full busy timetable that turns into a blurry mess and keeps crashing, that's not fun. That's not fun at all. Less services, less busyness, but actually reliable fun and looks good is interesting. So it is much more interesting. So that's not to say that, I mean, we'll come on to memory stuff in a minute, but you know, there's ongoing stuff there. But you know, at the end of the day, that's where we're at this point. We're kind of drawing a line in the sand essentially, and said this isn't good enough. It can't go. Whereas the PC one, the PC testers were saying this is great. Why wait? So that was why we made that decision.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, I've seen a couple questions in the chat that I've just copied. We'll get to Q&A very soon, in fact, because we're coming kind of to the end of our update section. We'll do a little bit of community, and then we'll go to Q&A, which I know a lot of people are keen to hear more about. So I'm just gonna add a couple. Just nice to see Golden Ticket here, and appreciate a lot of the mod team again for tonight for supporting. As always, you're absolutely fantastic, helping share our links in the chat. And again, shout out to Joe for the updated Koln-Aachen timetable. I mean, this is 550-ish services to over 4,000. Again, not all of those are playable. I think about 600 are playable, but it's still an absolute massive number that really adds that liveliness to the route. And again, it's a free update. It's an absolutely load of work. So Joe, you've done fantastic. And I hope you all enjoy it when you have the chance to give it a go too. Now, Harry Mitchell, I can see in the chat you've just you mentioned a bug report. I have made a note of that Glasgow Queen Street issue, but as a note, if you've got any issues, tonight isn't the best place to share it. The chat isn't going to be the best place for that bug report to live. Our forums is, so I think one of our mods linked you to the forums where you can have suggestions and troubleshooting shared. So send any bug reports you've got there. That way our team can kind of have a bit of a dialogue with you. Let's touch on Community Corner, and then let's go into some more Q&A. So it's May, which means May Monthly Mastery is now live. This month we're going to be pushing some Conductor Mode timetables on you. So it's time to put your conductor hats on and get ready to collect tickets. You know, no one's getting on this train without a valid ticket. So completing 15 Conductor Mode timetables, a usual set of scenarios, and driving a few 100 miles as well is always part of our monthly cycle. And this time also completing some timetables after exceeding 100 miles an hour. So we're going to be asking to push the speed. So that's the May badge. And again, we've been seeing some really good feedback for people that like having a challenge. They like having something to earn. Personally, I want to be able to give players more than decal badges. I think these decal badges look great. I mean, I like putting them on my train when I do livery designers sometimes as well. But I want to give players more. I know the Dovetail Live team, they do a lot of work, and we're looking at some of the feedback and some of the options we have in the future. But for this set and for this kind of year set of mastery challenges, we're continuing with our decal badges. So this is the set of challenges you have for May. And if I hide this,
I'm just saying that that badge is probably the best one so far.
I mean, it's the pinkest one. So, I mean, the badges were actually designed quite seasonally too. So you got kind of the seasonal range of colors. So it is, I mean, I'm a little biased. I've got my birthday in May too. So there we go. And we're going to touch a little bit on TSW Tycoon. So obviously, I know this is not something for everyone. But don't worry, it's okay. We'll touch on it for a moment because we've had some new updates. And for those of you that aren't aware of TSW Tycoon, it is a free multiplayer experience that you can play on Roblox. So it's a game you can play on the Roblox platform. I think you just need to make an account. You won't need to pay anything for it. And it allows you and a group of friends to jump on. You can build and run your own train stations. You get to drive a bunch of locomotives. You can kind of get a sense of some of the style we've got from this key art. It's very cute, it's very charming, and ultimately it's perfect for anyone of any age to try with easy controls. Whether you're old, whether you're young, whether you're just looking for something to do for half an hour to an hour or so. It's really fun. We've actually received over 10,000 ratings really positively and on almost 2.3 million views, which is absolutely fantastic. But the update today I wanted to share was that we've had a set of improvements come in, including cats, which is very cool. But essentially, you can unlock pets at your stations now. They give you perks, so you can equip different pets if you find them and discover them throughout the game. There are daily login tasks now that give you the tickets, the kind of premium tickets that you can use to eventually purchase some of the more premium trains that are offered. You can paint and customize your station wallpaper. The trains themselves can be painted too, so kind of a bit like livery designer. Trains and logos have been added. There's been some fixes. The first stop badge has been fixed and some various other additional improvements. So again, I know not everyone in the community is a big player of Trains in World Tycoon, but for those that are, there's a lot of great improvements there. Some new features which should make it really fun. And again, if you haven't tried it, it is a little bit addictive. I'll be honest. When we had some play testing with some of the teams, and I remember us initially trying it out, and I was on it for about 3 hours because I wanted to be the first in our community team to complete a rebirth, which is kind of completing everything you can, building your station to the fullest. And it's addictive. You kind of jump on it and you're like, oh, I've been here 3 hours. Okay.
It happened to me as well when we were doing, because I was in the play testing as well, and I just like I started playing it. I'm like, well, let's have a look at this, see how it is, and then 4 hours passed.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing where I was like, okay, I've got a meeting with the community team, but let me just
yeah, it's good, simple fun. It was really nice. It's got a cozy game vibe.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, if you're willing to give it a go, it's on the Roblox platform. It's completely free, and it's easy for anyone to pick up of any age. So give it a go if you're interested. So I'll leave it there, and that leaves us with questions from the community. So I've got a few listed. Feel free to throw some questions in the chat, but we're going to probably go through this list first. Then I'll grab some of the one on the chat. We'll talk a little bit and have a bit of a dialogue with all of you here tonight too. So the first one, I think, Matt, how about you kick off with is, general speaking, performance, blurred textures. There's been a big conversation since the last few months and something that we want to keep talking about. How are we doing? How are we doing with ongoing memory issues and some of the things that we're seeing across from different platforms in the train sim community?
Yeah, we just keep adding more people looking at this problem. We're coming at it from a number of different angles now, looking at the delta from 4 to 5, looking at by delta I mean the change. Looking at we've identified that this phenomenon in an Unreal of what they call untracked memory. So you can do a memory dump. There's this memory dump function which will just tell you everything that's in memory, and it transpires and it tells you some of what's in memory, which is why we think that this is why we've been having problems really figuring this stuff out previously. And it's kind of like, if you've got 6 gigabytes of memory in use, this untracked memory in some cases can be 4 of those 6 gigabytes. It's phenomenal. So the team are really digging into what that is, and we're talking to external developers who are using Unreal outside of Dovetail, and finding that they've got the same problem. So we're kind of working together now to sort of try and crack this issue together. Now that may just tell us, oh yeah, it's all good, or it might tell us that there's some surprises in there. We have found one surprise. We're digging into that one at the moment to see what that one will yield, possibly related to an extra detail setting we enabled a long while back now, and it seems like it's had a massive memory impact that hadn't been visible because it was in this untracked memory. So we've got a number of different angles going on. I don't have any results to share. So if what you're looking for is results, and you absolutely should be looking for results, I don't have any to share. But I think we've got 5-6 people now dedicated to looking at this throughout the teams. And well, if we need more, we'll put more on it. This is absolutely a priority, and it's something that we're looking at to try and figure out the best way forward on the for existing content and for new content as well. So bear with us, and as soon as there's some actual concrete information to share and some results to demo in a build, then we'll be very, very happy to do that.
Thank you, Matt. And like I said, we hear the community. We're looking to obviously try and get results as fast as possible. As Matt said, there's nothing to share just at this stage. And it feels like we come back to this topic a few times, in our monthly roadmaps and stuff. But it's obviously a really important topic. We're not trying to avoid the subject. We're not trying to push it down the line. We are working as hard as we can on it. And as Matt says, it's definitely a priority that we have. But bear with us, and appreciate appreciate you all waiting patiently, because we know it's obviously some of the blurry textures obviously not ideal. So we'll try.
One of the interesting sort of unexpected things that come out of this is things like you might look at a 16 gigabyte Xbox Series X and a PC with 16 gigabytes of RAM and think, well, why is one running out of memory and the other one isn't? There's complex reasons for it, down to memory fragmentation. Yes, memory fragmentation's a thing. And for those of you that remember disk defragmentation, there's the way that the consoles format and structure and use the memory. There's all sorts of complicated things in there. You cannot compare even a PS5 to an Xbox to a PC. They do things differently. So we're looking at the moment, we're focusing on the consoles because PCs are fine. But anything we fix for the consoles will improve the PCs as well. So we will I'm confident the team will figure it out. Actually, they're making some good discoveries and some steps forward and coming up with some good plans now. So yeah, we'll share news when we've got it.
And thank you to Florian's. I know you threw that in our QA thread on the forums earlier today as well. I've got a couple from the chat that I'll just dip into quickly. So Carter, you mentioned, can we add King's Cross in TSW5? Good suggestion. We have a space for that on the forums. I think ECM Squared just dropped that in the chat as well. So feel free to throw it on the forums, throw some images in, throw some references, but that's where suggestions should go. Jason, do we have an ETA for the API for the Arduinos? That is a Matt question because I don't know the word Arduino too well.
So you've actually got a question coming up about editor update. And so let's skip ahead to that one. Any updates to the PC mod manager? That one's from ES14. So we are currently estimating this month, and the HTTP API will be in the same update as the mod manager. So I'm not going to promise that it'll be this month, but that's when we're currently that's our current target, to try and get all of that stuff out. So that's going to be an update, really trying to focus on, player content creation.
Thank you, Matt. Liam's buddy, any update on the overground extension to Richmond? So obviously this is something that Incredible Trains is working on and Johannes is working on. We don't have an update for this month, but just know it's progressing well. It may be a few months before you hear more, but obviously that development solely lies with Johannes and how fast Johannes can work. And like I said earlier in the stream, we reach out to all of our third parties and ask for more in our roadmap. So if there's something relevant that we can throw into the roadmaps, they'll be included. So hopefully we'll have some more news from Johannes soon, but you just have to kind of hang tight and expect more for that one coming soon. Beastie Bill, I didn't see your question about the on-foot timetable UI bug.
I can help. I understand. I know what he means. So this is where you go into a service, you press the T key to bring up the thing or the appropriate console button on your controller, and you bring up the overlay which gives you your schedule. And on the top left, instead of telling you what service you're in, it says on foot. So there was a fix. It wasn't a complete fix, and it's back with the team for a complete fix. I don't have an update on when that will be coming, but hopefully soon.
Thank you, Matt. That answers the is it in the next patch. But in terms of things in the next patch, I've not reviewed the notes. I've seen some of the Skyhook changes they submitted that will be involved in some of the next patch. But once I've had a chance to look through it, and once the team have had a chance to kind of draft up some patch notes, we'll be sure to share that with you all when we can. Elm Tree and Quick Hands 18, you were asking for an update on the 158 timetable that would be coming with 5 Circle from Skyhook Games. We've not had an update from their team at the moment. So no news to share at this point, but just know that when we have news, we will share it with you. So I'll cross that one off. Now, Verkip, you asked, will the 430, so this is the DBBR 430 from Frankfurt S-bahn, will that replace the 423 on the Hanau branch of Frankfurt Fulda? Matt, you've mentioned no for this. Is there any extra details?
Nope, there isn't. We haven't updated Frankfurt Fulda, and if we threw the 430 onto Frankfurt Fulda, we would just make its memory troubles worse.
Thank you for the answer. Nate Dog, so you asked about some of the filtering and sorting UI elements for Creators Club. Matt, do you want to explain your update on this?
Yeah, it's on the list to have a look at that. I believe there was a bug introduced which blanked the settings. That one's on the list to do. At the moment, everybody's focusing on memory.
Thank you. D Heel, you asked for news on the Koln-Aachen timetable. We did touch on that earlier, but there's nothing to share at this stage. Other platforms are still being tested, but as Matt's kind of alluded to, once we're confident that the testing has gone well and the build is stable and that it won't add more memory issues and more blurry texture problems, then that's when we would be happy to lock in a release date and get that shared to you all. But currently, we're looking at some of those issues and looking to address them. Phil 567, there is currently no update to the passengers spawning at London Euston on West Coast Mainline South. We've not got a fix for that planned in the next patch.
I'm aware of a number of issues regarding passengers not spawning properly, so we'll be investigating that whole thing. And we're going to look at passengers generally.
Gibson, I know you asked about the GWE remaster. We touched on that earlier, but we've not confirmed a release date. There's lots of exciting stuff that Liam is working on, and it's great news with the GWR licensing coming back. But we've got nothing shared just yet on terms of when it's coming. Just know that it's coming as soon as we can, and so we'll let you know. But nothing confirmed just yet. Now, there was something I thought it might be worth touching on, actually, just for kind of a bigger, more in-depth question. And it might be one I'll pass to you, Matt. So, Greyhound, you asked, what time of year do you kind of work on the internal roadmap for the kind of years ahead? How far in advance do we plan when we think about, routes and content coming up? And I guess this obviously implies work with third parties too. But Greyhound was interested, I think, in just some of that timeline and how far in advance we think about this kind of stuff.
It depends. As it happens in different sort of resolutions. So I've got a broad idea of the next 3 to 4 years, and I've got a really detailed idea of the next year. And it kind of scales down as it goes out. And what you find is that, if I was to tell you what I was thinking for 4 years from now, the very good chance it wouldn't be what happened actually when we got to it. Yeah, these things tend to sort of scale and move around based on what you're telling us. We've got an idea of what people, what players are wanting, and what we think would be a good mix to the things. And then what happens? A license will come in, and like, that's what we need to be doing. And so we'll, about face, and we'll focus on that license. We've done that on more than one occasion. So it's kind of like, like I said, we try and keep a roadmap, so we kind of know, what our plan is. But then we're also not rigid to it. We'll float that around a bit, and if it looks like that's not the right bit of content to make, people are cooling off on that type of content, then we'll think about other ones, change things around, mix things up, look out for new licenses, because licenses can take 3 years to sign, 4 years to sign. We've had one that took longer than that. So it's you never quite know what you're going to have in the toolbox to as an opportunity. And obviously I'm a big fan of variety where we can. So if a new license comes in, I'm kind of I'm inclined to say, oh, that's cool, that's different, let's see what we can do with that new license. So it varies, but as far as possible.
Thank you, Matt. And I think that kind of ties into questions we get from the community about we have the meme where if it's not on the roadmap, I think I've even still got from my last month, I've got that little text box above my name. If it's not on the roadmap, obviously we can't talk about it. But generally, like there are a lot of things, there are a lot of developments that go through that are happening in the background. And like Matt says, we have plans that span, more than just what you see on the monthly roadmap that we share publicly to you all. There are more plans, there are more developments. We can't always talk about them as much as we want to, as much as it's really exciting to. There are things going on. There are more important things that we need to update on. It's great to share our progress in terms of updates and improvements, which I think for a lot of players is most important. It's a top priority. We want to focus on these. But there is also the other side where there are some elements which we can't go into more depth on, and you'll just have to hang patiently on when we're ready to share more news. But there is a lot of exciting news, and I think I'm really looking forward to the year ahead. And I think I know Matt will be, and we can't say much at this stage, but when the time comes, there'll be the right time to share it. So
Yeah, I mean, there are times when projects change, as I've mentioned, and so if we haven't mentioned it, it's not because we're being coy or secretive necessarily. It's as much that what we don't want to do is get everyone excited for something and then not deliver that. It's been times where things like that have happened in the past, so hopefully, you can recognise that. So it's kind of like until we are absolutely sure this is where it's going, and in the past we have even changed direction with a project currently in development. So you can't even say that it's once you start, making it, things will change, things won't change. So if it's not the right thing to do for whatever reason, there's no point, and we'll change. We're always trying to make the right thing. But yeah, when we, and as Alex says, when we announce it, it's because it is the right time to announce it. I think we've kind of learned a lot of lessons from announcing too early and too late in the past, and trying to find the right balance. And that doesn't mean everything gets announced in the same window either. Sometimes you can announce some things a bit earlier and some things maybe a bit later, for all sorts of different reasons. The number of meetings that I'm in with Alex and the rest of the team, sort of saying, when should we talk about this, is when, what should we talk about here, even just prep for this stream here, is we have a week, was it weekly, we have the meetings, I think, Alex,
yep, weekly roadmap.
where we go on going through about talking about how this is going to go on, and you spend a phenomenal amount of time pulling this stuff together as well. So there's a lot of thought goes into this, yeah, when we think we're going to give you the right good message, that's when we give it to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, Matt is right. We give the moment we're comfortable and confident on when we want to share it, you'll know because we want to tell you. That's the point. I think me and Matt from running these roadmap streams, for the last year or so or more, we've clearly understood the element of really being keen to share more news because it's great when we can share more content. So back to other questions. I've got a couple here. So, Crazy X, will there be new countries in the future of TSW? Kind of touches on to what we just discussed, but what I will say is Zwolle-Groningen, first route in TSW for the Netherlands, was really, really successful. So we're already seeing that we went to Wales for the first time with the Cardiff City Network route, and Tadami Line is on the way. So yes, there will be new countries going to Trains World because we've got Tadami Line on the way. And you'll just have to keep an ear out for more because we've seen a lot of success with some of them so far. Kraken, you've asked, are there plans for other routes to be given conductor mode? Matt, what are your thoughts on conductor mode?
So, I mean, I love conductor mode, but we don't have plans to go back and retrofit older content with newer features. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Sometimes they do. The same applies to, I think the suspension was another related question on that one that you had in here.
Yes.
It's the same sort of thing. So we don't plan to go back to content, but if there's it comes up, then we'll jump on the opportunity to. Yeah, these things, the catalog is enormous. So going back and spending a load of time on old content would be actually a ton of work, absolute ton of work. It becomes quite impractical, but if we can see an opportunity to do it, well, we will. So don't expect it, is what I'm saying there.
Yeah, and that's a similar question because I think the Diversinix and MTH Sean, both of you asked kind of similar things with suspension, and with Todd 4 again, it's going back to the catalog. It's a lot of work, so assume no plans unless we've talked about them. Okay, Hop Hop Pie, you asked any news about the unconfirmed route from All Aboard Studios. Nothing to share yet, but when we have news to share, we'll let you know. The best place to find out about that stuff will be the roadmap. So if it's not in this roadmap, you can expect it in future roadmaps as well. Um, Now, a question from Old Vern. We've seen some of the recent releases of other train simulators in the market, and Old Vern was interested in some of our thoughts towards them, and how that impacts what we're doing. And I mean, Matt's words are the best here, but essentially, seeing other success from other titles is always good. The best phrase I've ever heard, from my own experience, is let's say what we do here at Dovetail is baking a cake, right? Someone else comes along and what they're developing, what they're doing is like baking a different kind of cake. We're making a strawberry cake, they're making a chocolate cake. At the end of the day, there's just more cake. And everyone likes cake. If you're going to type in the chat and say you don't like cake, I'm going to ignore it. Everyone likes cake. It can be gluten free if we need it to be. But essentially, there's just more cake. There's just more good things. So it's really great to see other simulators doing well. Matt, I don't know if you want to add your thoughts. I mean, you've been a part of the simulation scene for a lot longer than I have.
Yeah, I play almost every sim, let alone every train sim. I'm a big sim fan, and we just as I know that they learn from other games, learn from what we do, we learn from what they do. Kind of game development is sort of a collaborative thing. Yeah, I want cake now as well. I don't know what Alex is on. It's terrible. But yeah, it's good. It becomes a richer community with lots of stuff. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I'm excited.
But it's a good question, and I appreciate that because again, it's what we do. I mean, like what a lot of the teams do here is they develop out of passion, and that passion comes from a love for the experience, a love for the simulators, a love for what they're doing, and that extends beyond what we do specifically at Dovetail and what, like, say, third parties work on. Um, so yeah, it's really great to see other success, and it's just more exciting and more cake. Um, Amazed Taste, Matt, we need more of your personal streams. Now, Matt, I'm not going to volunteer your own time. But it is absolutely what
I want to get back to it. I want to get back to it. I think I've just been focusing on other things at the moment.
Well, what I will say and I will shout out is that Matt, you do an absolutely fantastic amount for the team and getting involved in streams and previews and even roadmaps for tonight. So I've always appreciate your time as a guest as well here, and it's really wonderful to have you on. But thank you, Amazed Taste, for the question. Now, there are a couple others that we promised some of the people on the forums we were going to answer. So I'll go through them. We've answered Old Burns. Solicitor, you asked about adding neutral zones to the track monitor.
Yeah, it is on the to-do list. I don't have a date for when it will happen, but yeah, that one's on the list. That I agree. It would be a good thing to do.
Thank you. Malik Arthur, you asked, do we have plans to fix the alerter issue for AI trains on New York Trenton?
Malik Arthur and many people on the chat have been asking us tonight. So happy to report we have a fix in testing. The beta team, one of the beta testers in particular, Eddie, who you remember from the San Bernardino stream, I think, ran about 9 hours of continuous running on Trenton and did not hear a single rogue alerter. So I think we finally nailed it. It's taken like 2 or 3 separate goes to try and get them all out, but I think that's now been done. So I don't have a date when that's going to be coming out yet. It'll probably need to go through a bit more testing, along with anything else that's sort of in the general area. But yeah, it looks like we finally got it nailed, and look forward to it in a patch note near you.
Coming soon to a patch note near you. I love it. Okay, we've got a few more. A plan. Do we have a plan for how we're going to address microstutters? Just for everyone's clarity, microstutters, sometimes when you're traveling along the route, you get that little minor hitch for just like kind of half a second. Sometimes it happens when you're driving, sometimes when you're loading a lot of new data. Matt, have we got a plan for how we're going to kind of address some of that we're seeing?
It's not really a focus at the moment because crashing and blurry textures is obviously a much bigger priority. Once we've got all of those problems resolved and some of the other things that we've got a big long list of other things that need to be looking at. It's something that I want to get the team to investigate, invest some time in. But we have in the past looked at it, and some of this is a combination of the shader compilation, which is really difficult to fix on UE4. It's fixed on UE5, but we're on UE4. and the world origin rebasing, which I've described in great gory detail in past roadmap streams. And that's kind of a fundamental requirement. So at this point, I don't have, the team doesn't really have an idea of how we would move that forward. We've got much bigger problems to deal with at the moment, so that's what we're focusing on. So never say never, but it's not where the team's focus is.
Thank you, Matt.
Some of the stuff, one thing I will say is some of the stuff with the memory stuff may improve this as well, because one of the things we're finding is memory churn. We found an instance on PlayStation 5 where something was just constantly reallocating memory over and over and over and over and over again. It was doing this with the memory, which causes fragmentation, which means that fragmentation is if you allocate a piece of memory and then another piece and then another piece, and you start deleting a bit, you've got that little gap in the middle, and it starts becoming really messy. And if you want 1 megabyte of memory, it has to be 1 megabyte of contiguous memory. So if you have something constantly allocating and reallocating lots of small chunks, it can actually make it to where it says it's got 3 gigabytes of memory spare, but there is no 1 megabyte of memory contiguous, which then looks like it's saying it's out of memory when it's not. So that's fragmentation. We found that issue, and that can cause stuttering as well. So because obviously it's doing a lot of work it doesn't need to do. So we have a fix for that one actually in test at the moment as well. And again, I'm not promising when these things will come out. Some of this stuff is super experimental and we may break things. So we're trying all sorts of things out. So hopefully, what we're seeing is all sorts of things going on. And while we're not directly addressing stuttering, I feel that there's a good chance we will improve the stuttering by some degree by clearing up some of these things that are going on with the memory allocations and so forth, much like that one I said before, which was just literally spamming the log file with lots and lots of nonsense going on, taking up CPU time. So like I said, not something we're directly focusing on, but it may get improved as a side effect.
And this is why Matt, your insight is very valuable, because to be honest, for me, hearing about all that is obviously it goes quite a lot over my head. But having your insight is very valuable here, and I appreciate you spending time to explain it as well. We got a question here from Noel06, and it asks, would Gen 8 get the new Koln timetable in the future? And currently we don't have any plans. And again, following on from the kind of memory discussions as well, those platforms don't have the memory to be able to support that new timetable update that we've been able to implement, because it is a lot more total services that have been added. We don't want to ruin the current experience of the Koln-Aachen route. So there aren't any plans for Gen 8 to get those, so it will just be a Gen 9 update. Yeah. Matt, I've got one I think that you can talk more about from Acro, and it was, what was the reason behind making certain things Gen 9 only midway through the life cycle of TSW5, or during a life cycle, as opposed to just when we launched?
So Gen 8 is still an awful lot of players using Gen 8, so don't want to leave Gen 8 players behind. But if we get to a piece of content that either can't be done at all because it can't be done on Gen 8, or do it on other platforms and not on Gen 8, then I'm inclined to go with just for those individual bits, maybe not doing them on Gen 8. Frankfurt S-bahn is one of those. We made that decision during the course of developing the Frankfurt Fulda route. It became very clear that there's no way that S-bahn, because S-bahn is a much bigger route actually than Frankfurt Fulda. And if that doesn't make sense because of simple things like track mileage and so forth, go on Google Earth, have a look at some photographs standing at Frankfurt Station and looking west. Okay, that's just so much track and signals and overhead line equipment. It's unbelievably complicated, and it takes up a phenomenal amount of memory. And you've got to have all of that loaded in. Plus, because you're underground, you need light bakes, which take up a ton of memory. And it's just like, there's just no way that's going to fit on a Gen 8. And we either have to make it all scaled back so that it fits on a Gen 8, and that means everybody has to have scaled back, or some products are just going to have to be a Gen 9 and PC only. And that's kind of what we do. I don't want to make anything Gen 9 only, but sometimes that's going to have to be the case. And if you're saying, well, why isn't it? Why is a thing not on just? So I saw someone asking earlier on about, they're feeling it's unfair that Manchester Airport Commuter is not on Gen 8. Doesn't run on Gen 8. It's that simple. The frame rate is too low. It just does not work. And the only way to fix that would be to dial the detail back for everybody. So some things are just not going to work on a console that's that old. It's unfortunate. We'll try and make everything we can do, and it may well be that, again, I call back to these memory things. Some of this stuff may help it to where more things will work on the Gen 8 consoles. Yeah, that's kind of the process. We kind of decide it as we go. I don't want to make that call, but I will make that call.
Appreciate it, Matt. I've got one I want to quickly touch on before going over to some of the UE5 discussion in the chat. One from Matty. It says, do we have any update on the yearly surveys? So we sent out some surveys and we asked questions from the community, and they're really useful for us because they help us plan. Matt talks about thinking about, he has a more confident view of the year ahead and maybe a less vaguer view of the, say, 2, 3, 4 years ahead. They help us impact how those shape up. Things like exploring new territories, and then we ask players, where would you be interested in, and then we see a lot of interest in, say, somewhere like the Netherlands, and then we release a route in the Netherlands like Zwolle-Groningen, and then we get loads of positive feedback for the route. That's a really great example of that kind of flow from hearing community feedback, seeing it in a survey, doing something about it, sharing it, and then kind of getting to an end result where we had a really fantastic release. And one of the best releases.
We actually used the survey specifically and changed our plans, didn't we? Because Netherlands was the top most requested from the UK and Germany. For non-UK, Germany, US, the Netherlands was the top most requested everywhere. And then I think for the rest of the world, it was the second most requested. So it's kind of like so we changed our plans because it's what you asked for.
Yeah, and I think I know your question was more specifically about, could we get more information about what those surveys and what's going on. So from a development point of view, roadmaps are the best place. We can't obviously open a lid on everything. Development is happening, but that information we get is invaluable. It is you've got to trust us when we say that. When we gather about some of the features as a community you're looking for, that is, I'm in meetings where that's actively being used to help drive discussions about what can we do to make Train Sim World and make the best thing for all of the players. What are you telling us, and how can we make that happen for you? So it's getting used. In terms of publishing it, I love data. I love a graph. I love a pie chart. I love seeing numbers. I love getting stats in my emails from some of the games I play. Some of that data we won't share. There is kind of a business reason for that, and there are obviously competitors that may find value in that, but also there's a reason we wouldn't share that data, more from a side of we don't want to mislead people. The interesting thing about data is that when you look at it, you can get 10 different conclusions from it. And we don't want to share that data and give you an expectation that we're doing certain things with that data that might not be real, or you may draw conclusions from that data that we don't draw. It can be very misleading, and our opinion is always open to change internally about that. But the moment you publicize some of that, it gets a little bit more complex. So we don't always share we don't always share all the details. We occasionally share 1 or 2 snippets because it's fun to share that and it's interesting to share that. And like we said, we talked about the Netherlands being a very requested and the #1 requested in certain in certain regions. So that's a little bit why it's a little bit complex. I love a good bit of data, trust me. But there are reasons why we kind of hold back and hold some things.
We spend an awful lot of time challenging the data, challenging our understanding of the data, realizing we're misunderstanding or we're trying to layer our own assumptions and make the data fit what we want it to. So we're constantly challenging that stuff. It's a really engaging, fun process, but it can also be, often the data, the obvious thing the data tells you is not what it actually is. There's usually layers and layers and ways to interpret that data. So it's quite challenging.
So I've got one more. We'll talk about it, but then we'll end after this question. I appreciate there's loads of questions, but don't worry because the forums Q&A thread is still live, and here we go. If you have a question that we haven't had a chance to get to tonight, it's okay, because what I'll do is I'll log in tomorrow morning. I'll go through our Q&A thread for the night, and I'll try and answer as many as I can. So I've just thrown a link in again on the YouTube chat. If you go to that link, you can sign up to our forums if you don't have an account for free. And if you do have an account, you can just drop us what your question was, and I'll do my best to answer it if it hasn't been answered tonight. But there have been a lot of questions about UE5. Just to make it clear, we've not made any grandstanding announcements today in this roadmap or in the last few months. We've got no plans to currently push any train sim world development into UE5 that we've announced to the community. So nothing's changed from expectations, but there are questions about it. I mean, development is Unreal as an engine is very exciting. Unreal Engine 5 was obviously a huge step up from Unreal Engine 4. Train sim world, as I know, it currently runs on Unreal Engine 4. And you know, we've got no plans to change this. That we've talked about. So it probably is worth acknowledging that we're aware of that. I mean, from a technical perspective, I'm sure there's loads of sweeping improvements. Again, I'm not necessarily involved in the development side, and Matt, I think you could probably add a bit to this as well. But I think, you know, it's not something that we're avoiding necessarily. It's something that we're aware of. We're always looking in terms of how we can make the best experience for players, and if that means learning new technology and finding ways to implement it, then we'll look into this. But ultimately, like, what we're trying to provide here is the best experience for the people playing Train Sim World, the people playing our titles. So, Matt, from a more development side, is there any value you think you can add into this?
Yeah, absolutely. So one person said, would an Unreal Engine 5 upgrade be more like a whole new game or more like a TSW2 to TSW3? And the answer is the other one, not the easy one. And some of the reasons for that are that Unreal Engine 5 is very cool. Some very exciting things in Unreal Engine 5. And there's even Unreal Engine 5 has this, and if you Google it, you can find out more information about it. It has a tool that will let you port from UE4 to UE5. Do you know what happens when you do that, though? You get a UE4 game running in UE5 that looks exactly like a UE4 game. There's basically no point. And in fact, it'll probably run worse. So if you want to take advantage of all the really cool things in UE5, and I mean things like Lumen, I mean things like Nanite, all sorts of really interesting things, world partitioning, you know, all this stuff, then you kind of have to rethink about things from the ground up to take advantage of that, because Lumen means is the new lighting system. Megalights is the brand new layer on top of Lumen for nights, which only literally I think beated in the latest version. And you need to think about these things from the ground up and build everything. So if you just port over, then you're just using the old lighting system. There's no way to just magic it into Lumen, because actually if you're using Lumen, you can do so much more than you would have done with the old lighting system. So you want to kind of think about that. Well, partitioning means the literal way that you build the map is different. So it's you know, it's cool. We have had people, you know, investigating it, learning it. We need to start building up some skills in that area generally, and our engineering team are just fascinated in tech anyway. So you know, whether we ask them to or not, they're going to be learning about it and have been. So it's yeah, it's very interesting. There's a lot of really cool stuff. Amazed Taste, you say Lumen would benefit TSW massively. Lumen, as it stands by default, doesn't really like things that move, unfortunately. So it's a challenge. You know, I think about 30 miles an hour as a moving vehicle is where it starts to have real problems. And I don't know about you, but I like to go a bit faster than 30 miles an hour. So all of these things have upsides and downsides. This is what I'm saying. Nanite is really cool. You know, with Nanite, you don't have to do a thing called level of details, where you make 7 different versions of a model with progressively less detail in them. Nanite kind of dynamically handles it. It's brilliant. But Nanite doesn't work with skeletal meshes, and all trains are skeletal meshes. So, you know, more problems to consider. So there's all sorts of fun challenges to come across there, and it's nothing is straightforward. And if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. So it's you know, that's the reason. It's actually really hard. to do that. If there was an easy option, then that would be what you'd end up there is with no disrespect to my marketing colleagues, you'd end up with a marketing release that could say it was on UE5 but would give you none of the benefits of being on UE5, and I don't want that. So so no UE4 for the foreseeable future. We still have lots of untapped things in UE4, bluntly, things that aren't, we're not taking full advantage of or not taking any advantage of at the moment. There's a long way that we can push UE4, in things like HDR. I'm not pre-announcing that as a thing, but there are lots of things that we can look at. So it's there's exciting times to come. UE5 is not the panacea answer for all things. It introduces tons of its own challenges as well. Someone just asked why did we pick Unreal Engine? We investigated at the time every game engine that was released, and we tried to make a basic train simulator in it. Very, very basic train simulator in it. We tried to think about all the problems, having spent obviously a long time developing Train Sim Classic, and the team having a really good insight into the technical challenges of developing a train sim, which are very different to developing most other games, because you're traveling over, remember our world maps are 1-to-1 scale. You're traveling over 200 miles, 100 miles, whatever it is. You can be doing it at 350 kilometers an hour, and you can't show a loading screen. And if you so much stutter, it'll be on the forums. So and most game engines can't cope with that. None of them could, in fact, at the time. But at the time, Unreal Engine was the only game engine that had a system that could do large worlds. And even then, our team then had to come along. This was like Unreal 4.1. This was a long time ago. Our team came along, and what we found was that while the game engine supported large worlds, the editor didn't properly support them. The editor actually wanted to load the entire world into memory in one go. You can imagine needing 256 gigabytes of memory to be able to edit a route, which is insane, especially when you think about how long ago that was, 256 gigabytes of memory. Well, that's still expensive even now, but back then it was insane. So we actually modified the editor and made it support progressive loading of levels the way that the main game did. So we went into the editor engine and did that. And like I said, at the time, probably the only thing that came even close was Unigine. But there was a lot of other things that Unigine didn't do that Unreal did really, really well. So I'm still 100% happy that the Unreal was and remains the right way to go. It's done so much for helping the game development process. So many people in the game dev community know how to make great stuff in Unreal. I've been really on balance. And every engine you go down is going to give you pros and cons. On balance, I'm really happy with the way that we went, actually. And everybody in the team tells me the same thing. The people that are sitting there writing the code, fixing the problems and so forth, they're not saying, "I wish we went a different way." Not one of them.
Wow. I love a good Matt story. I'll be honest. I think I love hearing more about this. And I know that a lot of you in the community have been saying that you really value Matt's insight here. And again, I do as well. But I think, it goes a long way to really help talk, I think, very candidly to the community about a lot of this and a lot of our thinking behind it. So I did say that was the last one of the night. There are some really interesting questions. I do love how Alexandre just dropped in the chat. I think it's your first message and just said Eurostar, please, full caps. We have a suggestions form for that, but love the confidence coming in. And I know there are some really interesting questions, but I will have to, I'll call it there for tonight. We've got some really exciting stuff coming up. And, when we talk about developments in the future, when we talk about roadmaps.
Hang on. Alex. Is this a Maze Taste just posted? I think we need to discuss this.
No. I mean, I'll do a special late May roadmap just for you, Maze Taste. No,
Happy birthday from all of us, Alex.
No, it's so early. It's like 20 days early. I think we should be saying happy birthday to Dovetail Jan. If you've seen Jan in the community, if you've seen him on the forums or Discord, his birthday's in like 5 days. So happy birthday to Jan.
Happy birthday, Jan.
I love a May birthday though. You get it right on the bank holidays. It's perfect. Anyway, everyone, it's been a really lovely night, and I really do love when we can kind of go through some of the exciting things in the roadmap. I love talking about it, of course, but I really love diving into community questions more because that's when the real dialogue opens up for me. We've got someone with so much knowledge as Matt, and Matt, you've been fantastic tonight. So thank you loads for joining us.
Thank you. Always good fun. I enjoy it.
For all the mods in the chat, I want to say, you know, I've seen ECM Squared there, and I've seen other mods in the chat. Really appreciate your time. For everyone watching, very appreciate your time as well. I can see a couple of our ambassadors in too. So it's been fantastic. Happy birthday last week, Casual Rail. And yeah, I mean, I love the roadmap update. I'll catch you all next month. We've got some exciting streams coming up. We've also got all of our ambassador content. So why don't we just do a quick refresh? Let me skip to the last one. So we've got loads of cool streams coming up, and our wonderful range of creators have made some really fantastic videos for you to enjoy. They're all about an hour long, and these will be live on this channel from tomorrow onwards, so you don't need to go anywhere. But what I would say is, you know, these are some really fantastic creators. Go follow them. They make Train Sim World content all the time. Richie Rail, British Ace, Train Simulator Driver, Jimmy Darley, Ramagani. You've also got Casual Rail, he's in the chat right now. Tiger Ways, and we also have a fantastic other range of ambassadors that aren't featured on this list of videos. So be sure to check these out. You'll have some more content, and of course there are a bunch of sales. You know, this is on Steam only, so I will caveat that. But for the next week, why not pick up some of your favorite content if you've seen it's on a discount? We've got some new discounts. I mean, even Swallow Groningen, we've been talking about that. It's 10% off. I think it's the first time it's been on sale. I'll just do a quick flash of the roadmap graphic, you know, as we end up. So this is where we're at in May of 2025, and next month we'll be back for more. We'll change up the graphic. We'll share some more exciting things, I'm sure. And again, I just want to clarify that big UK gameplay pack box, that's not Liam's gameplay pack. That should be on the roadmap graphic as another UK gameplay pack. That's the HST pack that he's working on. But that isn't that. That is something else. We haven't talked about that yet. We will talk about that soon. But that's all. So it's been a fantastic night, and again, I really love the opportunity to talk with some of the people across our community that share us questions. So keep them coming, and we'll see you in our next updates and through our next streams in the month. And on that note, have a great night, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.